Well, most recently, Dr. Van was also successful in inviting an American professor who was also a Nobel Prize winner in 1990, Dr. Jerome Friedman, to attend the 39th International Physics Olympiad, which is held right here in Hanoi from July 21st to the 29th. We have him in the studio with us today, so please welcome Dr. Jerome Friedman.
Thank you.
And with us also today is Dr. Nguyen Van Hugh. He is the former president of the Academy of Science and Technology, and he's also an avid supporter of Dr. Van's initiative to boost sciences here in Vietnam. So please welcome Dr. Hugh. I want to thank the two of you for joining us on the program today.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. I want to ask you, Dr. Friedman, first. You're sitting here next to Dr. Van. How long have you known each other?
Well, I've known of him for many years because of his great contributions to international science, the conferences he helped establish and he actually ran for many, many years. Mm-hmm. But I first met him in 1994 when I attended the Block conference and got to know him well. And then, of course, I got to know him even better in the year 2000 when he invited me to Vietnam. And I must say it's been a great pleasure knowing Professor Van.
And now you're good buddies and here in Vietnam with each other.
Right.
Now, this is your second trip to Vietnam. What kind of impressions have you had on the country? Tell us about your first time and then compared to now.
Well, if I look at the comparison, I see an enormous amount of economic activity that was not here before. I noticed construction going on all over Hanoi, for example. High rises going up, which were not there when I first came. I see many more cars in the streets. Yeah. I see factories and various businesses with foreign names on them. So actually, it indicates to me that not only is Vietnam increasing its economic activity, but foreign countries are now investing in Vietnam much more so than in the past. And when I attended the opening ceremony for the 39th Olympiad, it was held in this marvelous convention center in Hanoi. And I must say, it's the most magnificent convention center I've ever seen. I was just overwhelmed.
It's only 2 years old now.
That's what I understand. It was built only, I guess it took only a few years to build. But it's so beautiful and it's so aesthetic that I was totally impressed. And I think that's the symbol of what's happening in Vietnam.
Now, prior to your first visit to Vietnam in 2000, as an American, you know, we have many Americans on the show, and they do have a history with Vietnam. What was, how was Vietnam in your eyes? What did it mean to you?
Well, I didn't really have a history. You know, look, I'm an American citizen. I observed the war from a distance. It was a terrible war. I'm very happy that we now have peace and that we're developing friendly relations between the two countries. And I personally feel it's a personal responsibility to do whatever I can do to help reinforce this friendly relationship. And so I'm very pleased to be able to come to Vietnam and talk to students and do whatever I can to enhance education and science in Vietnam.
Now let's talk about science a little bit. From your perspective, how is the field of science here in Vietnam?
Well, I think it's developing. I mean, I think it's, for example, Professor Van spoke about this young man who was an outstanding physicist. I must say he was also at my institution, MIT, for a few years, and he impressed everybody. Vietnam has also sent scientists over to the Fermilab in the United States. Fermilab is the largest laboratory in the United States. It has the highest energy machine to date, and of course it'll be superseded by the machine in CERN, but at the present time it's the highest energy machine. And a number of Vietnamese scientists are now collaborating with other international scientists in the D0 collaboration. And it's a very significant collaboration. It's produced excellent physics, and the Vietnamese, of course, have made valuable contributions. So I think Vietnam is starting to get involved in international science. And the more this happens, the stronger the science will be here.
Now, let's talk about the scientists then. I mean, you have the technology, you have the science. Upcoming Vietnamese scientists, what can you say about what you have observed at the Olympiad?
Well, I didn't, to be perfectly honest, I haven't really participated in any of the tests or any of these things going on at the Olympiad because I've been touring Vietnam and giving lectures in various universities.
Right.
But my general impression of Vietnamese students is that they're really they have excellent talent, and that everything should be done to nurture them and help develop them. Vietnam has some very special characteristics, which actually give it a tremendous advantage in terms of developing science and technology. First of all, Vietnam is a society that values education. Second of all, the Vietnamese have an outstanding work ethic. And so you put these two together, and you have a marvelous combination for developing a very, very effective and productive scientific enterprise here.
Lots of potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no reason why, Vietnam should not continue progressing enormously.
And maybe someday be in the forefront of
Absolutely.
sciences. Now, Dr. Hugh, I want to ask you, as a senior physicist here in Vietnam, what do you think are the types of opportunities that Vietnamese scientists have to exchange with international scientists and people like Dr. Friedman, Dr. Van?
I think that many Vietnamese young scientists and also the students love the science,
Yes.
highly admired the great creative successes of the famous scientists. And many of them, including myself, when I was young, many of them have the dream to have the chance to meet them, to talk with them, to ask them about the way they have gone in order to
Their path, the path that they took,
to reach the scientific achievement. And owing to the effort of Professor Tran Thanh, this dream become the reality.
Yes.
And during 15 years, Professor Van invited more than 10 famous scientists who got Nobel Prize to come to visit Vietnam from time to time.
So it's a good opportunity for Vietnamese students. Yes. Now, on the student side, what kind of feedback have they given about meeting these people that they've admired?
Many famous scientists, after the visit to Vietnam, find the opportunity to accept the young Vietnamese scientists into their university, into their laboratory for the training. And many young scientists, Vietnamese scientists, who went to the United States and to Europe on this way now become already the talented young Vietnamese scientists. Moreover, some scientists, when they plan some project of international cooperation in science, they also try to include some groups, some laboratory in Vietnam to be a member of this international collective of scientists for realizing the great and very important scientific project. So I would like to tell that even if you have many money, you cannot buy this opportunity.
So I can say that they appreciate the opportunity to be involved in such things.